Have you noticed that no matter how much you clean your house, the mess always comes back? It's like an invisible plague. You move things around, you promise yourself that this time you're really going to get organized. And a week later, once again papers, empty containers, and random objects take their place. And the worst part, you get used to it. You look at it and say, "I'll tidy up tomorrow," and that tomorrow never comes. It's not your fault. We were taught how to clean, but not how to create habits that maintain real order. That's why today I'm bringing you 9 Japanese habits, unusual, little known, and probably ones you've never applied in your home, but that could completely change the way you live and relate to your space. The Japanese believe it's not about tidying things up when they get messy, but about creating an environment where clutter isn't allowed in. And that's done with daily habits. But not the typical make your bed or wash the dishes. Here we go with the real habits that keep those minimalist, peaceful homes we admire so much looking impeccable. First, eliminate orphan objects. In many homes, without realizing it, we live with what in Japan they call orphan objects. These are those small things, seemingly insignificant, but that little by little invade drawers, corners, and surfaces. Charger cables you no longer remember which device they belong to, jar lids whose containers disappeared years ago, loose buttons from clothes you probably don't even have anymore, rusty keys that don't open any doors. And you think, well, just in case. That just in case is order's worst enemy. In Japanese culture, these objects are not just considered clutter, but also a bad omen. They believe that everything in a home should have a clear purpose, an owner, or an immediate use. If it doesn't fulfill any of those functions, it begins to block the energy of the spaces, as if it trapped old memories, worries, or unfinished things. And even if you don't consciously notice it, your mind perceives that silent accumulation. When you have a drawer full of unknown cables, every time you open it you receive a small mental impact, confusion, stress, and demotivation. Even if it's for a second, your brain detects something pending, something you should resolve but don't. The same happens with loose keys, containers without lids, or that pair of broken earphones you've kept for months. They are postponed decisions and accumulated small doubts. In Japan, before a deep cleaning, a specific round is done to hunt down these orphan objects. Drawers, shelves, bags of old stuff are checked, and anything that doesn't have an immediate function is sought out. It isn't kept with the excuse of someday it might be useful, because for them, keeping something without a purpose is an invitation to disorder. They also believe that these stray objects can attract minor domestic accidents or family arguments because they generate hidden chaos. A philosophy that might sound superstitious, but makes a lot of practical sense. How many times have you wasted time looking for a useful cable among 5 useless ones? Or opened a drawer full of meaningless papers and objects, immediately feeling overwhelmed? The recommended exercise is this: take a box or bag, and go through your entire house, drawer by drawer, corner by corner. Everything you don't know what it's for, who it belongs to, or that you can't use within 30 days, leave it there. Old cables, broken adapters, loose pieces, toy parts, objects you kept just in case and have been taking up space for years. Everything. At the end, don't stop to think twice. That bag isn't to be stored for later review. It goes. Because if at this moment you don't know what it's for, you won't know in 6 months either. And though it may sound exaggerated, I assure you you'll feel an immediate mental relief. It's as if every unnecessary object took away an invisible worry. This habit is not just for physically cleaning, but for freeing your mind from unfinished things. Because when your house fills with ownerless, purposeless objects, so does your head. And living like that wears you down without you realizing it. That's why if you want to start transforming your space, don't start with the big things. Start with those insignificant but annoying objects. Because those are the ones that weigh the most. Second, don't allow empty flat surfaces. This Japanese habit might seem contradictory to what many Western organization tips teach, because we often hear that keeping surfaces clear conveys cleanliness, order, and visual serenity. But in Japan, leaving a surface completely empty isn't a sign of order. It's a direct invitation to clutter. They have a very clear philosophy: a flat, empty surface attracts unauthorized objects. It's automatic. The moment a table, a counter, or a piece of furniture is completely clear, within hours or days someone will leave their keys, a receipt, a package, a bag, or anything they don't know where to put. And that little act of, "I'll just leave it here for a moment," multiplies. Then another object gets added, and another, and before you know it, that clean space turns into a chaotic corner. In Japanese homes, this effect is so well known that they've developed the habit of assigning intention to every surface. But not by filling it with stuff, rather by placing an element that acts as a visual and symbolic anchor. It could be a decorative tray, a small plant, a figurine, a vase, or even a nice storage box. It's not about cluttering, but about giving that surface a purpose. For example, a home's entrance table isn't left empty because it would turn into the place where everyone tosses papers, wallets, or bags. Instead, they place a tray or decorative bowl where only the keys go and nothing else. That tray not only contains but prevents other things from piling up around it. It's a simple psychological mechanism. When there's something occupying the center or marking a space, our brain perceives that place is already designated and stops seeing it as an available surface. The same thing happens with kitchen counters. If left completely clear, they end up accumulating bills, shopping bags, utensils no one put away, or appliances not used daily. That's why they place a small tray with the tea jar, a teapot, and a minimal decoration. That keeps the counter tidy, but with intention. And it prevents objects from arriving uncontrollably. Even in bedrooms, they practice this. On dressers or nightstands, instead of leaving them completely empty, they place a decorative box or a tray where only watches, jewelry, or the remote control go. Nothing else. The mere fact that there's that intentional object blocks the impulse to leave papers, tickets, coins, or anything we find in our pockets. The key to this habit isn't to fill for the sake of filling, but to assign a clear function and limit to each surface. Because when everything has its defined space, things don't pile up. And when a space is left available without a purpose, it becomes fertile ground for chaos. The Japanese even have a term for this phenomenon, ma, which doesn't just refer to empty space, but to intentional space. It's not about leaving things empty for no reason, but leaving a space that breathes, that balances with the object that inhabits it. That's why their homes never look overcrowded nor lifeless. Everything is there because it needs to be, and what has no reason to remain, holds no place. When you apply this at home, you'll be surprised how much the dynamic changes. Try placing a beautiful tray on your dining table with a small plant or a candle, and you'll see how no one feels tempted to leave bills or keys there. Place a bowl at the entrance just for keys. Or a decorative box on your dresser where only watches and earrings go. That small habit cuts off the accumulation of meaningless objects at the root and keeps order almost effortlessly. Because it's not about tidying up all day long, but about preventing disorder from having the chance to appear. And I assure you that once you try it, you'll realize how many empty spaces in your home have unintentionally turned into visual trash cans. Changing that will shift your perception of your home and your own mental order. Third, do a reverse house walk before going to bed. This habit, though simple, is deeply transformative. In Japan, they place almost ritual importance on the moment of closing the day. It's not just about turning off the lights and going to sleep. It's a conscious act of returning balance to the house before everyone rests. And here comes a very powerful habit, doing a reverse house walk before going to bed. It's not a pointless walk, nor a last-minute deep clean. It's an intentional round from your bedroom to the main entrance, passing through every space in the house. Along the way, you observe and pick up everything that doesn't belong in its place. A forgotten cup on the desk, a cushion out of place, a pair of shoes lying around, a jacket hung on a dining chair, an empty bag in the kitchen, a towel thrown in the bathroom, a toy out of its box. Those objects are silent signs of disorder. And even if you don't see them as important, your brain registers them. When you lie down in a messy house, your mind stays connected to those little visual pending tasks. It's like trying to sleep with open browser tabs in the background. You don't fully notice it, but the next day you wake up more tired, more irritable, more unmotivated. The Japanese believe that nighttime clutter pollutes rest. Because the house is not just a physical space, it's also an emotional container. And if that container is filled with small things out of place, you can't truly let go of the day. You can't close the cycle. That's why this walk before bed isn't just another household chore. It's almost like a ritual of respect toward your home. You return order to it so that it can return rest to you. It's a symbolic act that says, today is over, everything returns to its place, tomorrow we begin clean. Moreover, this habit has an impressive cumulative effect. If each night you do that 5 or 10-minute walk, picking up what doesn't belong, you'll never again have to do major cleanups of accumulated mess. Because disorder no longer gets the chance to stay. And this also gives you something valuable: control. You no longer wake up the next day feeling like the house is too much for you, that there are 1,000 things to pick up. On the contrary, you wake up calm, in a house that holds you. Many homemakers live trapped in the cycle of tidy during the day and lose control at night. Because when everyone finishes their routines, the house gets invaded by leftovers, thrown clothes, dirty dishes, open backpacks, scattered shoes. And that becomes normal. It turns into background scenery. But if every night you do that final walk, that conscious scan of your home, you'll be silently teaching others even without saying a word to respect the shared space. You can even involve the kids or your partner. Each person does a mini walk, picks up 2 or 3 things, and the combined effect is amazing. It's not about becoming a housekeeping police officer, but a guardian of rest. Because when the house is in balance before bed, so are your body and mind. This habit also has a profound emotional effect. It reconciles you with your home. Because you stop seeing it as a constant burden of work and start to see it as a place that breathes with you. You tidy not out of obligation, but as a closing act. As a way of saying, thank you for holding me today. Now I leave you in peace to rest. And the next morning, when your feet touch the floor, you'll feel it. There's visual silence, there's lightness. And that changes your whole mood. Because there's nothing more exhausting than starting the day picking up yesterday's chaos. With this Japanese habit, you break that cycle. You properly close the day, to start the next one with clarity, calm, and the powerful sense that you're in charge of your home and your life. Fourth, clean the areas you can't see. This Japanese habit is probably one of the most underestimated and one of those with the greatest real impact on how you feel inside your home, even if you don't consciously notice it. Cleaning the areas you can't see isn't just an obsession with tidiness, it's an act of emotional and mental hygiene. The Japanese firmly believe that whatever accumulates in the hidden corners of your home, even if you can't see it, still affects your energy, your mood, and the way you perceive your environment. Think about those spaces: the upper edges of doors, the backs of small appliances, the corners of drawers, the area behind picture frames, baseboards, the tangled cables behind the television. These are corners you don't look at daily, but where dust, grease, lint, and clutter accumulate for months, even years. And even if they're not in your direct line of sight, your mind registers them. It's like knowing you have a drawer full of messy things and you don't want to open it because it stresses you out. That discomfort remains in your subconscious. Visible clutter is tiring, but hidden clutter wears you down slowly because even if you think it doesn't affect you, it actually does. The Japanese call these spaces blind energy spots. They believe that not only physical dirt stagnates there, but also the things you don't want to face, postponed decisions, avoided problems, memories you prefer not to revisit. And every time you walk past those places, even without looking at them directly, your body perceives an environmental weight. It's subtle, but it builds up. That's why it's said that a house with hidden dirt is a house where anxiety quietly lives. For this reason, part of their weekly or monthly routine includes cleaning those spots most people forget, lifting kitchen appliances and wiping behind them, cleaning light switches everyone touches but few clean, wiping the top of door and picture frames, vacuuming behind the bed, and dusting the high corners where cobwebs form. And here's a very interesting point. They don't do it so it looks clean, but so it feels clean. They know that even if your eyes don't see it, your body perceives it. There's a distinct calm in a house where the hidden places are as cared for as the visible ones. Also, cleaning those areas sends a very powerful symbolic message to your subconscious. I leave nothing pending, I hide nothing, everything in my life is under control, even what no one sees. And that feeling carries over to other areas of your life. You become more organized with your finances, more attentive to your emotions, more mindful of your relationships. Because the way you care for your home reflects and shapes the way you care for yourself. Try it. Pick a day and dedicate 20 minutes just to cleaning invisible areas. Wipe a damp cloth over the top of door frames, dust behind the TV, check behind the microwave, lift the boxes you have under the bed and clean that floor. You don't need a marathon cleaning session. Just 20 minutes for those blind spots. When you're done, take a deep breath and walk through your home. You'll notice a strange lightness, a sensation of deep order you didn't know you needed. Because when you clean the invisible, you also clear away the mental noise you'd been accumulating without realizing it. And for the Japanese, that is true cleaning, not the one that shines on the surface, but the one that lightens the soul. Fifth, the habit of the about-to-break object. In Japan, there's a very clear and rigorous philosophy regarding the objects we use at home, especially when they start showing signs of wear or damage. This is the habit of the about-to-break object, and it might sound radical, but it's a practice that transforms not just your physical space, but also your relationship with the things you own. The idea is simple. When an object starts to fail, it isn't set aside or stored just in case, as many of us tend to do. A frying pan that sticks, a towel with holes, a wobbly chair, a flickering lamp, or any tool that no longer works properly must be repaired or replaced immediately. They aren't kept around in case one day I need them, and the decision isn't postponed waiting for the ideal moment to fix them. Why? Because those damaged objects aren't just a functional problem. In the Japanese mindset, a broken or worn-out object starts attracting more clutter and negativity around it. It's as if the damage spreads beyond the object itself, affecting the space it occupies, making other objects look messy, or making the energy of the house feel heavy and chaotic. Also, keeping objects on the verge of breaking creates a subtle but constant feeling of discomfort and neglect. Every time you use that pan that sticks or dry yourself with an old towel, your mind receives a small message of frustration and resignation. Over time, those little annoyances pile up and affect your mood and your willingness to maintain overall order and cleanliness. This habit goes beyond simple maintenance. It's a form of respect toward your belongings and toward yourself. Fixing or replacing something teaches you that you value your surroundings and your quality of life. You don't allow deterioration to become the norm. Instead, you take action so that everything you use works well and accompanies you without causing annoyance. Also, when you quickly decide what to do with an object about to break, you avoid accumulating a mountain of things that no longer serve any purpose, that only take up space and distract your attention. That pile of broken objects can turn into a source of invisible stress, because even if you don't use them, you know they're there, waiting for a repair that never happens. In Japan, repairing something also has an emotional component. The concept of kintsugi, which is repairing objects with gold, giving value to imperfections and highlighting the object's history. But if something can't be fixed or its repair is too complicated, it's replaced without guilt or remorse. They don't allow attachment to broken things to become a chain that limits order and harmony in the home. Implementing this habit in your daily life involves constant awareness. When you notice that something is starting to fail, make the decision instantly. Don't leave it for tomorrow. Assess whether it can be quickly repaired or if it's better to replace it. And do it. Don't allow the imperfect to become an anchor for disorder. That way, your home will always be filled with functional objects, working for you and not against you. And you'll feel calmer, because every corner will reflect care, efficiency, and a real commitment to your well-being. This Japanese habit not only improves your space but also cultivates in you an active, responsible, and loving attitude toward everything around you. Sixth, nothing is stored without an expiration date. This Japanese habit is a profound lesson about how to manage time and space in your home, and above all, how to avoid the silent accumulation of useless objects that ends up suffocating your daily life. It's not just about tidying up, but about setting a clear deadline for everything you decide to keep, to prevent your home from becoming a museum of just-in-case items that only collect dust, stress, and distraction. When you store something, whether it's a garment you no longer wear but might need again, old papers you're not sure will be important, or manuals for appliances you don't even own anymore, you're opening a very dangerous door: indefinite storage without purpose. The problem isn't having stored things, but not having a real commitment to those things. And that creates two negative effects. First, they take up physical space you could use for what truly matters. And second, they occupy mental space, because your subconscious knows they're there and creates a constant background noise, a lingering feeling of something pending that you can't fully ignore. The Japanese address this with a practical and powerful solution. Every stored object must have a deadline for review or disposal. When something is put away, a reminder, a note, or a mental commitment is immediately made: I'll review this in X months, or if I don't use it by this date it goes. And it's not just a suggestion, it's an unbreakable rule. Why does it work so well? Because it forces you to decide clearly and responsibly what you truly need. If in 6 months, or in whatever time you define, that object hasn't served its purpose or you don't even remember why you kept it, then the decision is obvious. It goes. That time is enough to see whether something is necessary or whether it was only gathering dust and taking up useless space. This habit fights off emotional procrastination and indecision, the two main enemies of order. Many times we hold on to things with the vague hope that one day we might need them, but that one day rarely comes. The deadline creates a sense of urgency that forces you to face reality. Is it really worth keeping this? Additionally, applying this practice transforms your relationship with consumption and buying new things. When you know that everything you keep has a review date, you become much more mindful and selective about what you bring into your home. You no longer accumulate for the sake of accumulating, but buy or keep with intention and commitment. Imagine having a closet, a drawer, or a box where every piece of clothing or item has a mental label with a clear date. If the date passes and that garment hasn't left the house, if that manual remains unopened, or that paper was never needed, it's time to let it go. This decision creates a constant flow of renewal that keeps your space alive, fresh, and functional. Lastly, this habit also has a deep emotional impact. It frees you from guilt and unnecessary burdens. By setting deadlines, you avoid feeling like you're throwing away valuable things or wasting money. You simply accept that what you neither use nor need has no place in your life or your home. Adopting this habit makes you lighter, clearer, freer. It allows you to breathe in a space that is always in motion, where everything has meaning, purpose, and timing. Because in Japan, they know that storing without a date is storing without intention, and true order is born from clear intention and commitment to the present. 7th, the seasonal change ritual. In Japan, the change of seasons isn't just a time to take out or put away clothes. It's a true ritual that completely transforms the energy and organization of the home. While in many households the shift from winter to spring or summer to autumn is reduced to switching out garments in the closet, in Japanese culture this moment marks a deep cleaning, a total renewal, and a reconsideration of how each space is used. This ritual begins long before the weather changes. People anticipate the moment so everything can flow without rush and with full attention. Storing away clothes from the previous season isn't just about folding and putting them away. It's about carefully inspecting each garment, deciding what to keep, what to repair, what to donate, and what to discard. This same process applies to every object in the house: blankets, curtains, kitchen utensils, beauty products, books, toys, and even decorations. But the most important part of this ritual is the thorough cleaning of everything that stays. It's a deep clearing out of every space that was occupied by items from the outgoing season. For example, if they put away winter clothes, they also carefully clean the closet, the space under the bed, the shelves where the heavy blankets were kept. They wipe, vacuum, air out, and often open windows to refresh the air and let natural light in. This goes far beyond daily or weekly surface cleaning. It's a reset that allows the home to breathe, eliminates old energies, and prepares the space to welcome the new season with freshness and order. In the process, objects that no longer have a place are removed, spaces are reorganized to optimize their use, and what's truly necessary is re-evaluated. This habit prevents seasonal accumulation, a very common yet barely noticed phenomenon. Many times, without realizing it, we stockpile objects at home that we only use for one season: clothes, decorations, utensils, and we store them without reviewing them, letting them gather dust and forgotten items. The result is that those spaces become overloaded, chaotic, and when it's time to use those things, we end up frustrated because we can't find what we need, or because everything is dirty and disorganized. The Japanese seasonal change ritual is an invitation to break that cycle. It teaches you to see your home as a living organism that needs to be cared for and renewed periodically. It invites you to be mindful of every object that comes in and goes out, and to give your house the space and cleanliness it deserves, so you can live in peace and harmony. Moreover, this ritual has a powerful emotional impact. It's a way of saying goodbye to the old and welcoming the new, not just in your home, but in your life. Every deep cleaning is a symbolic act of leaving behind what has completed its cycle and making space for new experiences, new energies, and new goals. Incorporating this ritual into your annual routine will help you maintain a home that is tidy, functional, and full of life, where each season is lived fully and without the accumulated weight of invisible clutter that we often don't even notice. Because in Japan, they know that taking care of the change of season means caring for the natural cycle of life, and that a home in harmony with these energies is a home at peace. 8th, the habit of having fewer cleaning products. In Japan, one of the secrets to keeping the house always clean and tidy without feeling overwhelmed by the process is the habit of simplifying cleaning products. It's not that they don't clean thoroughly, but they have a very clear strategy: use very few products, but ones that are versatile and effective. Instead of having a shelf full of different bottles, sprays, powders, and liquids for every surface or problem, they limit themselves to 2 or 3 multipurpose solutions that can be used almost anywhere in the house. Why is this so important? Because when you have too many products, the cleaning process becomes complicated, slow, and above all, full of excuses. I don't use this product because I don't know what it's for. That other one scares me to use on this surface. I ran out of this one and the other isn't handy, or simply, I'm too lazy to look for the right product among so many. That tower of messy bottles not only takes up physical space, but also creates a psychological barrier that ends up turning cleaning into a tedious chore. The Japanese avoid all this with a minimalist approach. They choose multipurpose products, for example, a mild detergent that works for glass, furniture, and floors, and combine it with a disinfectant cleaner that can be used in bathrooms and kitchens. With just these few products, they know they can handle any type of dirt or mess without complications. This lets them move quickly, without wasting time searching for the ideal product for each corner. Also, fewer products mean less waste, fewer unnecessary expenses, and a more organized home. The simple sight of a few well-organized bottles instead of a confusing pile helps maintain motivation to clean. Cleaning stops feeling like a mountain to climb and becomes a series of simple, effective actions that can be easily integrated into your daily routine. This habit also has a very positive impact on how you perceive cleaning. It stops being an overwhelming task and becomes an accessible, constant act of care. When you know you only need 2 or 3 products, resistance to cleaning drastically decreases because the action feels much more manageable. Furthermore, this philosophy helps the whole family participate without complications. There's no confusion about which product to use, nor any risk of applying something inappropriate. This makes cleaning easier for everyone, even children or those inexperienced with household chores. If you decide to implement this habit, I recommend starting by reviewing what products you currently have. Remove expired items, those you never use, or those that complicate your life. Then, find 2 or 3 good quality multipurpose products that you like and trust. Organize them in a visible and accessible place, and use them for everything. You'll see how, with this simple step, cleaning becomes faster, less stressful, and much more effective. In summary, less is more. Fewer products, fewer complications, fewer excuses, and more order and cleanliness in your home. A simple Japanese principle, but with a huge impact on your daily life and the harmony of your home. And 9th, the 60-second rule. The 60-second rule is one of those Japanese habits that seems so simple we almost overlook its transformative power, but if you apply it with discipline, it can completely change how you maintain order in your home and manage your daily life. This rule says something very clear and emphatic. If a task takes less than 60 seconds, don't postpone it, do it immediately. Don't leave it for later, don't ignore it thinking you'll have more time or that you'll do a bunch of things all at once later. The rule is to do it right away. It may seem insignificant, but those tiny actions add up and end up making the difference between an orderly home and one overwhelmed by little messes growing out of control. Putting away dishes after eating, hanging up that jacket you left on a chair, closing a drawer left open, wiping a stain as soon as you see it, picking up an empty cup on the table, folding a garment left lying around, all done at the moment maintain the flow of order. Why is this habit so powerful? Because it breaks the natural tendency to procrastinate and accumulate small tasks that together form an impossible mountain to climb. When you decide to leave for later what you can do in a minute, you start piling up invisible chores. These are the little things that don't seem like a problem when seen individually, but together create chaos, visual stress, and a feeling of being overwhelmed. Moreover, by doing these small tasks immediately, you strengthen a positive cycle. You see your home stay clean and organized effortlessly, you feel more satisfied with yourself and the space where you live, and that motivation pushes you to keep caring for your environment. This habit also has a powerful emotional effect. When you tackle those small tasks instantly, you avoid the guilt or overwhelm that usually arises when clutter has already set in. Instead of feeling like you have a house to clean, you feel like you're in a home where everything stays balanced through simple, constant gestures. To successfully apply it, it is important to train your attention. Many times these small tasks go unnoticed because we are distracted or focused on other things. The key is to be attentive to those details and respond immediately. It can be as simple as taking a mental pause and saying, "This takes me less than a minute, I'll do it now." It also helps to have an environment prepared so that these actions are easy. For example, having an accessible place to hang jackets, a specific space for dirty dishes, or a cloth handy to quickly clean a stain. Don't underestimate the power of these 60 seconds a day. Multiplied by the number of small gestures you do in a day, they become hours of order and cleaning that you'll never have to do all at once or under pressure. In short, the 60-second rule is a Japanese habit that breaks with the culture of procrastination and accumulation. It is a call to immediate action, daily care, and maintaining the flow of order through small, constant gestures. Implementing it will help you transform not only your home but also your attitude towards self-care and time management. Because, in the end, order is not an event, but a sum of conscious decisions made minute by minute. If you apply even 3 of these habits this week, you will notice how not only the order in your home changes but also your mindset. Because in the end, a messy home is a tired mind. And you don't deserve to live like that. If you would like me to make a second video with other lesser-known Japanese habits for organizing the house, let me know in the comments. Because this is just the beginning.